maintain a healthy environment. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure.
Grade 12. I hope that you did your homework and to understand the language of genetics. It is very important that you first check your previous work, so that when we are now going to continue to apply our knowledge and to understand how genetics work, you can continue. So now, pause the video, open the PDFs attached and mark your work. So, when we are looking at a homozygous green seed plant, homozygous green seed cross with a yellow seed plant, state the ratio green to yellow in the offspring. Now we have the information green is dominant. Green seed cross with yellow seed. Homozygous green and yellow seed. Now I want you to immediately think, what will be the genotype of a homozygous, two of the same, green seed, and green is dominant. So, of course, we will have a capital G for green. Homozygous green will look like that. And if there's a yellow seed, it means there's no dominant gene present. If the dominant gene was present, it would have been green. You agree? So, this will be small letters. Now, I want you now to concentrate on how to do the genetic diagram. It is important that you know the order. You must do it for full marks exactly as it is done in your textbook. Yes, in your textbook, you see on page 489 the template, how to do a genetic diagram. So first we start with the parental phenotype. And if you know who is the father, who is the mother, in plants it is not always that necessary, but in any other organism where you know the father and the mother, right, father, mother. The father was green and the mother was yellow. It was homozygous green. So the next line is for the genotype. What is the physical appearance of the parents? What is the genetic genotype of the parents? And believe it or not, but yes, to have this cross there is extremely important. Now we state that meiosis will form gametes. So the father can have on its sperms a capital G or a capital G. And we put the gametes in circles. Okay, again, extremely important. Put it in circles. Then we see what is all the possibilities for fertilization to take place. And now we see this sperm can fertilize with that ovum. That is all the possibilities. Now, or this sperm with that one. And now I write down if these two fertilize, if these two fertilize, if this two or this two. And what do I see? If I have homozygote, dominant with homozygous recessive, all the genotype of the offspring will be exactly the same. So, offspring genotype just happens through fertilization. And now I have to write the phenotype. And I have to state it is heterozygous. It is heterozygous green offspring. This gives me a phenotypic ratio of 100 to 1. Sorry, this one is 0, 1 to 0 for green or yellow. Now, green to yellow is 1 to 0. The phenotypic percentage, 100% will be green, and of course 0% will be yellow. So what was important? Important is to know, read carefully through the information given to you. Know the template, because this will not be given to you, but you have to explain the question by using the genetic diagram. Okay, so now we have another problem, a heterozygous green. You see why I said please mark your work first. Heterozygous green means, hetero means two different ones, but it is green. I know green is dominant, so heterozygous green will look like this, cross with a yellow. What will yellow be? Yellow is the recessive. So if I see yellow, it will be small g, small g. I don't have to think. If I see the recessive trait, it is a homozygous recessive. There's not such a thing as a heterozygous recessive. You agree? If the recessive characteristic is visible, it must be homozygous. And again, we are going to use a genetic diagram. Now, parental phenotype, green, cross with yellow. Parental genotype, heterozygous and homozygous. I state that with meiosis, gametes will form. The gametes will have circles and the father in blue cross with the mother in red. Fertilization takes place and automatically I have the genotype. If I have heterozygous dominant, I will have heterozygous green offspring, or I have the possibility to have homozygous yellow. What is the ratio green to yellow? 1 to 1. Interesting. Homozygous with heterozygous dominant. Heterozygous dominant, and homozygous recessive. Always give me a 50-50 chance for green and yellow. But remember, this offspring is heterozygous. So it is not a true bred, but it is a hybrid. It's not a true bred. It is a hybrid. This offspring will carry, of course, then, this offspring will carry the yellow gene. You see? It carries the yellow gene, so they can transfer it to that yellow gene to their offspring again. Okay, a green seed plant with a green seed plant. The offspring appeared in the ratio 3 green, 1 yellow, 3:1. Use a genetic diagram to show the parentals of this offspring. 3:1. When will it occur 3:1 ratio? And that I can study. So let's go back. We say if we have heterozygous dominant, I had a 1:1. Yes? And when I have a homozygous with a heterozygous, I have 100% yellow ones. So, what is another possibility? Another possibility will mean when I have 2 green heterozygous. Heterozygous, 3:1 ratio. Let's see. Again, I write down my template. The gametes cause fertilization, and now here I have a yellow one yellow. But here I have 2 heterozygous, but what is the color of that heterozygous? What is the color? It is green. It is green. Although it is heterozygous, green is dominant. So there I have a phenotypic of 3:1. The offspring phenotype will be 1 homozygous, but they are green. 2 heterozygous green. So this will give me 3 green ones, and I will have 1 yellow one. So green to yellow is 3:1. And this is something that you can study now. Okay, there are also other types of diagrams that can be used to show different to show the offspring. So what we have here is the widow's peak. Widow's peak is when you see this. The hair grows there like this, and there you see not the hair growing in there. So in the family tree here, we see that the male are the square ones, and the female is indicated in circles, right? And now we see that the widow's peak is dominant, and that one is not dominant. So we will practice some of this to see if we understand. What I want you to see here is, this is father, mother, and now we indicate their offspring. Their offspring, I had 3 males, and 2 had the widow's peak, and 2 did not had the widow speak. And this one got married to that person, and this is their offspring. Right, here we have attached earlobes and free earlobes. So with attached earlobes, the ear connects to the skin of the neck. But free earlobes, the ears has an opening there, if you can see what I mean. So this is another diagram to help us to show. Let's see if you can work this out. A one-eyed purple people eater is crossed with a two-eyed purple people eater. All of their offspring have two eyes. Which trait is dominant? I agree, the two eyes will be dominant, definitely. If you use the letter capital E for this gene, what is the genotype of the offspring if the parents were capital E, cross with small e, small e. So what does this mean? Homozygous, two eyes, and homozygous, one eye. What is the genotype of the offspring? The offspring can only inherit one from there or another one, but it's still that one, and the offspring will then be all heterozygous, but still with two eyes. You agree? Although the offspring will carry the gene, and in the offspring gametes, there will be some gametes that will transfer the small e to its offspring. If you cross the offspring with each other, if we take the offspring, how many of the new offspring would you expect to have two eyes? And the nice thing is, you do not really have to study all this by heart. You can quickly make a genetic diagram. I like the Punnett square, and I say there is the gametes of the father and the gametes of the mother. So I can expect an offspring that's looking like this. So what do I have? Heterozygous, heterozygous. Can you remember? What is the ratio? Okay, let's see. So, what is the ratio for two eyes? That one has two eyes, that one has two eyes, that one has two eyes. Heterozygous, heterozygous, 3 out of 4, 3, 2 eyes, 1 with 1 eye. As I've said, you can study the ratio, but you can always do the Punnett square. If you are using this Punnett square to explain the whole answer, not only give one answer, please remember, there must be a circle around it. You have to state that this happened through meiosis, and you have to state that fertilization takes place within this possibilities that I am writing down. And I always state the ratio for this is then my genotypes, and there is the ratio. Okay, now I want to continue with some more examples. And we are now talking about albinism. Now, albinism is a mutation that can occur in people as well as animals. You have albinism in your textbook on page 490, and the word albus means white. This is an inherited condition. Somewhere there was a mutation that stops specific cells to make the pigment. The name of the pigment is the melanin. Melanin is the pigments inside our body that when we have the sun shining on the body, the melanin increase. If you have a darker skin, you have also more melanin present. Now, if you are having the genetic inherited condition, we cannot say it's a disease. It is a condition. It means that your DNA don't know or does not have the code to make the proper melanin, which protect your skin from damaging by sun rays. I just want to come back and say, if I say it is a condition, remember, people that suffer from albinism really have trouble with their eyes, because our eyes is also protected by melanin, and they cannot see very good. So it is seen as an impairment, and they are seen as visibly disabled people. So they are actually disabled because of this condition. The symptoms: absence of color in hair, skin, or the iris of the eye. They have lighter than normal skins. Sometimes they can have only a part of their skin has a missing color. They can have strabismus, which means the eyes is not working well together. Very light sensitive. They have rapid eye movement, so they have really functional blindness. They have visual problems. What they suffer from is skin cancer and blindness. But it is not only in humans that we find albinism. We can also find albinism in the animal world. This is an albinism crocodile. And here we see a koala and we see a lion. And although this is very sought after, remember, it is fatal to be in the wild and being the white color. The reason? The skin color normally serves as a camouflage for the animals against their predators, or when they are stalking a prey, they are also not that visible. And therefore, the small white lion and the visible koalas will first be the prey of their predators, or they will not get prey to hunt. So it is unfortunately not a very good way of living, even if you are an animal or a human. So now I want to look at a normal father and a normal mother, and they have an albino child. Use a genetic diagram to show if this is possible. Now, albinism is a recessive gene. Let's just use an abbreviation. Is a recessive gene. That means normal is dominant. Now, to be normal is dominant. Now, if I want a kid with if there is a child with albinism, what is the genotype of an albino child? Remember, we see the recessive trait. Can there be then any normal gene? No. So an albino child will be small a, because albinism is recessive. Normal can be an capital A, and albinism will be the small a. You agree? Now, if I have a father and a mother, and they need to have a child that looks like this, it means there must be a gene from the mother and there must be a gene from the father. You agree? But the father is normal. That tells me that the father must have been capital A for normal, and the mother also must look like that. Do you agree? So now I'm working from the child. This is the gene of the child. I know that. So in order to have an albino child, each parent must have the gene. We know it is a recessive gene, so the parents can be totally normal. The dominant gene just masks off the recessive gene. Okay, now a father with brown eyes and a mother with brown eyes have children with blue eyes. Brown eyes is dominant. That is important information. Okay, they always must give you enough information. And they have children with blue eyes. They have children with blue eyes. Again, what is the genotype of the parents? Again, if they have children with blue eyes, the children will look like this. You always inherit a gene from your father and a gene from your mother. So the parents must both have a brown eye gene, the dominant one, but definitely also a recessive gene. And therefore, the genotype of the parents will look like this. What is their phenotype? Their phenotype is heterozygous brown. That will be their phenotype. Okay. What was the probability to have a blue-eyed child? What is the probability for this parents? So, I want us now to do a genetic diagram. So you are now going to open your textbook, please, on page 489, and you are going to write the genetic diagram from the top. Phenotype of the father and the mother was brown cross with brown. The parental genotype was capital B, small b, crossed with capital B, small b. Now, meiosis will take place, and during meiosis, I will have the formation of the gametes. So that one and that one will form, that one and that one will form. Now will fertilization take place, and just to help me to concentrate, I am going to use different colors. So if this one fertilize with that one, the genotype of the offspring, this is also called the F1 generation, will be capital B, capital B. You agree? Use that one. If that sperm fuse with that one, we will have capital B, small b. Okay? If this sperm fertilize with that one, capital B, small b, and then lastly, if this sperm fertilize